Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Kaylin and I just was thinking about some more ways to help you save money. So I've made a little list and I'm going to do another 10 ideas to help you find ways to save money. So number one is to stop letting yourself have time to feel bored. I think that whenever we're bored, we're much more likely to spend money because we're just reaching for something to fill the void, and it kind of gives you a little rush whenever you're feeling a bit flat. But I think that when I grew up in a household where there was kind of the attitude that boredom was banned and you weren't really allowed to say I'm bored. You always had to find something to do to kind of get rid of the boredom, and I was kind of taught there's always something you can do to get rid of boredom. And I think feelings of boredom don't have to continue. If you start to feel that way, you can interrupt them with something that just really engages your interest. It could be one of your hobbies, it could be cleaning, it could be meal planning or prepping food for the week. If you just try and find anything and maybe have a list ready of things to do, when you get that feeling of boredom starting to kind of seep in, it will stop you reaching to spend money to get rid of the feeling. Number two is to have a visible list of your purchases. I think sometimes we can just tap our card and not think about how much it all adds up to, and I think if you just avoid your bank statements, sometimes it's you can lie to yourself and pretend the purchases didn't really happen or there were no real consequences because of it. But if you really want to save money and you want to break the habit of impulse buying, if you keep a list on your wall, it could just be a page, it could be a whiteboard or blackboard, and each time you pay for something, just write it on the board. If you have to look at that each day, it will quickly kind of change your attitude towards it. And I think I would want to look at a list of items that are looking at me each day and think those were worthy purchases. It wasn't just a waste of money, and it just makes you accountable, which leads me to number three, which is to have an accountability person. This could be somebody that's a good friend or family member, or somebody who's also trying to become more budget aware. And you could even make it a mutual thing where you help each other in that way. For example, if you feel tempted to buy something, you can message them and they can try to talk you out of it, and vice versa. Or if you do feel like you've slipped up and you've made a purchase you didn't plan, you can talk to them about it and they can remind you why you want to be so careful and prevent this happening in the future. And I think having somebody to keep you accountable, it just makes it easier to not kind of sneak around and shop secretively, because if you know you have to share the purchases with another person, it makes you much more thoughtful about what you buy. Sorry if you can still hear building works in the background. They're still working on the house across the road from mine and it's very noisy and they're kind of taking over the street at the minute. Number four is to find the free option first. Sometimes the thing we have to pay for is the quickest solution to a problem, because all you have to do is click buy and then that's it sorted. You can forget about it. But if you genuinely want to be serious about saving money, sometimes it's worth investing the time, and it might not even be a huge amount of time, just to look around your house, for example, and see what can I use instead. What do I already have on hand, to get organized in your house and find the things that you've forgotten about, or to look for another solution for something. For example, I feel there's a lot of things that crop up with my kids where you could rush out and buy something for it just straight away without really even taking the time to consider, can I improvise with what I have at home? For example, next week they go to Brownies and they're having an animal themed night, and when they come out last night, my daughter said to me, I don't have any animal print clothing, but we just thought about what do you have that is in any way animal related, and I was listing things, and then we realized that she has a panda hoodie, so she's going to wear that, and her sister has a dog one, so she can wear that. So we could have just automatically clicked and bought something animal themed, but it's only one night, so why waste the money on that when you can just use what you have already. Number 5 is to list the things that annoy you about shopping. I think it can be really easy to romanticize shopping, especially when you're kind of depriving yourself of it intentionally for a time, and it does give you like a rush and like a dopamine hit. So like that is a real thing, and you just have to come up with enough reasons to talk yourself out of it that make it seem less appealing and that cancel out the like dopamine hit that you're chasing. Because if you sit down and think about it, what annoys you about shopping? I'm sure there's something that does. Like for me, it's crowds, long queues, people with no manners in busy shops. Like I just hate whenever you kind of go into a shop and it feels like a maze and you have to go through the entire shop to get out. You can't just like grab something, pay for it and slip out. You have to do the whole, it's like the way it's set up, it is like a maze, so you have to go through every aisle to get out and you have to pass through the tills to exit. And I think that that's done intentionally to kind of suck you into shopping, and I don't like that about it. I don't like the feelings of guilt that I have when I make purchases I hadn't intended to make. I don't like having to worry about bills because I feel like I haven't been careful enough. And there's just so many things. I hate having to buy plastic bags whenever I realise I haven't put any in the car. It just feels like a waste of money and it's bad for the environment. I hate buying things that don't last, and I hate whenever you go shopping for something and it's out of stock and you have to go to 15 shops to find it. So there's so many things, if you sit down and think about it, that are actually really irritating about shopping, and you can kind of put yourself off it if you take the time to think about it. Number 6 is to lean more towards the natural world than towards the artificial one. I think that a lot of the time man-made kind of equals money, and if you just look around at the natural world and try to reach for things to do in it more often than just going to the artificial solution. For example, like if you feel stressed, go for a fast walk instead of going to a shop. Or if you feel hungry and you want to get out of the house, go for like a picnic or bring a snack with you to the park instead of eating out somewhere expensive. And I think if you just stop and pause and think about what could I do that sort of already exists in the natural world, that is a form of entertainment, instead of just going for something man-made that is going to cost you money, it can really help. Number 7 is to stop using shopping as a salve for your problems and stop like self-soothing with it and thinking that it is actually curing your problems, because it's not. It just causes more problems, because on top of whatever emotional problems you might have started with, you now have financial problems too, and maybe more emotional problems because you also feel guilty and ashamed whenever you kind of spend in a way that you don't feel is responsible or you hadn't planned to. And shopping never cures a problem. Like it might feel like it does for a few minutes, but that feeling, the rush you get from buying something new, wears off very, very quickly. And I find things that actually help are more like talking problems through with somebody who cares, or like writing about them and getting them out of your system. Like there's so many ways to release the problems and to spend time and kind of healing yourself instead of just rushing out to a shop. Number 8 is to write down your short-term financial goals, because I think you need to have something that motivates you to keep saving. If you feel like you're doing it for no real reason, or there's not like a concrete reason that you can kind of jump to in your mind, it can be very easy to get tempted to buy little things along the way. But all those little things add up to a lot in the end, and if you have something to keep you on track, it really helped. For example, last year we booked to go to Paris for 2 days, and we booked it in like March, and then we weren't going till August. And those few months I was quite disciplined with money, and I saved a lot towards the trip because I knew I wanted to go. I spent loads of time like planning what I wanted to do there, fantasizing about it, like looking at the metro map. I used to live there, so I was like kind of re-familiarizing myself with it and deciding like in those it was like 2.5 days, what do I really want to see while we're there, because we don't have time for everything. And just having that as a thing to motivate me to save just helped me so much, and it helped me to think which is more important, like putting money towards Paris so we can have a great time there, or buying this silly plastic object that I will forget about in 5 minutes. So it just really helped to keep me on track. I think if you do that, it definitely works, and writing it down makes it feel more like a pledge to yourself. Number 9 is to spend more time in active mode rather than receptive mode. I think if you're doing things and you're busy, you're less likely to just be sitting scrolling through your phone, for example, or wandering into a shop because you have nothing better to do, or coming up with an excuse to go out and get one item, for example, that you could maybe find another way round instead of just rushing out to buy it. If you are in receptive mode, you are receiving information from elsewhere and it doesn't come from you, like advertising and like just content online that encourages you to spend, because someone's always trying to sell you something, and it's in those kind of empty moments that they manage to do it, because you're trying to fill something, like you're trying to fill your time and you're trying to find something to do that feels positive. But if you instead direct your focus into like actively engaging in projects and things and keeping yourself busy, when you're distracted, you're not able to sit and fantasize about what you're going to buy next. You don't have time to do it. So yeah, I think that is an important one. Number 10 is to use the things that you already have instead of always coming up with a reason to buy a new one. For example, if you feel tempted to get a craft kit, in my experience, if you're somebody who loves crafts and you're an artistic person, you will have craft kits in your house already. For example, I was talking to somebody who said they were tempted to go to the knitting and stitch show that we went to at the weekend, and she said she didn't think she was going to go because it would just make her buy craft kits, and she kind of hoards craft kits but never actually uses any of them. And I do feel like I'm somebody that collects craft kits and I do use them, but I think if you're going to do something like that or go shopping for something like that, it's because you don't have anything on hand you can use instead, or anything that sort of satisfies you in that like area of creativity. If you just look and see if you have any unopened craft kits already. The same applies to books. If you're tempted to buy a book, like look around your house for a book you've forgotten about. Look for the free option first and use one that is sitting in a bookcase somewhere neglected, and read the blurb and try and remember, why did you buy it? Like, what was it that appealed to you about it? So obviously there was something that interested you that made you pick it up, so read it, like actually find out if you like it or not. Same with like if you feel tempted to buy like a new item of clothing, go in your wardrobe and look for the lesser worn items. They will feel newer to you because you aren't wearing them all the time, and just changing like your habits with what you wear, it can give you the same sort of feeling as getting something new. And also things like makeup, with like if you have a lipstick shade that you want to buy, see if you can use lipsticks you already have and layer them to get the same effect. Like sometimes you don't need to go out and buy a new one to get the specific color you want. For example, recently I wanted a darker pink and I only had light pink and red, so I layered them and it made a dark pink. So there's usually a creative solution to everything if you just look around and see what you have, and dig out things that you have like hidden away in cupboards and put them on display so you remember to use them. Thanks for watching, and I'll make another video soon. I hope this is helpful to somebody, and hi to any new subscribers. Thanks for subscribing, and feel free to leave any comments or thoughts you have below. Bye.